The new NBA season has begun with a storyline few could have predicted. Amid expectations of decline and voices claiming the golden era was over, the Golden State Warriors have stunned the basketball world by returning with force. The team that for nearly a decade embodied tactical excellence and offensive brilliance seemed destined for sunset. The veterans' age, injuries, and the natural fatigue of a winning era made many believe the San Francisco light would fade slowly. Yet what we see now is a resurgence, not of a group clinging to its past, but of a team that has learned how to turn experience into fuel for a new rise. With 4 wins in their first 5 games, the Warriors have returned to playing basketball that blends precision, intelligence, and joy. Stephen Curry remains the absolute maestro, commanding time and space with the same near-mathematical control that made him a legend. Draymond Green is still the defensive heart, dictating intensity and orchestrating chaos. The biggest surprise, however, has been Jimmy Butler, a signing met with skepticism that quickly proved to be a perfect fit. His arrival has brought composure and mentality to a roster that has rediscovered balance between creativity and discipline. The atmosphere inside Chase Center is focused and pragmatic. There is no nostalgia, no comparisons with glory days. The motto is, compete in the present. Every practice is planned, every rotation minute calculated. The players know that success in a long season depends as much on consistency as on talent. Still, off the court, management is already working with one eye on the future. The technical staff and performance analysts discuss possible reinforcements to sustain rhythm and shield the roster from the physical wear that inevitably comes with time. Among the names circulating behind the scenes, one stands out: Lauri Markkanen. The Finnish forward center, blessed with a precise shot and rare mobility for his size, would fit perfectly into the team's philosophy of constant movement and spacing. Young, versatile, and tactically intelligent, he could inject freshness without compromising structure. But Golden State thinks big. Sources close to the organization claim that even Giannis Antetokounmpo has been the subject of exploratory talks. The possibility is distant, yet one should never underestimate a franchise that historically moves in silence before striking. Despite those rumors, another name dominates speculation: Joel Embiid. The Cameroonian center is considered one of the most dominant talents of this generation. His presence would instantly elevate any team's competitive status. Yet physical concerns linger. Recurrent knee injuries raise doubts about the feasibility of a trade that would demand heavy investment and significant sacrifice. To make such a deal possible, players like Draymond Green or Jonathan Kuminga would likely have to be included, a scenario that sparks deep internal dilemmas. Trading the team's defensive brain for a superstar with a fragile medical record could redefine Golden State's DNA. The organization handles this possibility with extreme caution. In the locker room, the topic is almost taboo. The players prefer to ignore the noise and stay focused on cohesion. The defining word for the moment is stability. The offense once again flows with ease, and the collective game recalls the golden years: quick passes, constant motion, and surgical three-point precision. Yet there is a key difference. The team has matured. Butler has brought a cool professionalism that complements Curry's creative genius and Green's competitive fire. Behind the scenes, the coaching staff works with obsession. The plan is to preserve the health and longevity of the veterans. Minutes are managed using fatigue, joint impact, and muscle recovery metrics. Nothing is improvised. The objective is clear: reach the playoffs with the full roster fit and sharp. Still, the numbers reveal weaknesses. Golden State continues to struggle with rebounding and rim protection. The absence of a dominant center is evident, and the physical gap against younger, more athletic teams is noticeable. That is why the search for a tall, mobile, intelligent player has returned to the agenda. Here, a new name has begun to circulate strongly among scouts and executives: Sotto. The 2.18-meter Filipino center is viewed as a raw talent with enormous potential, and at the same time, a strategic opportunity. His technical skills, court vision, and unusual mobility for his height make him an ideal profile for the Warriors' fluid style. But the interest goes beyond what he brings on court. Sotto carries symbolic and global value. His popularity in Asia, especially in the Philippines, opens vast cultural and market potential for the Californian franchise. For Golden State, betting on Kai would be more than a sporting move. It would be a statement of vision. The young player represents a generation that grew up watching Curry's team redefine modern basketball. His journey inspires millions, leaving his country as a teenager, facing challenges in foreign leagues, and continuing to evolve with discipline and tactical intelligence. Within the coaching staff, there is excitement. Sotto fills gaps the current roster still shows: rim protection, rebounding, and offensive versatility. He can attack facing the basket, finish pick and rolls, and even shoot from mid-range, making him compatible with the Warriors' fast tempo and short pass dynamics. The impact of his potential arrival would go far beyond sport. The Filipino community in the San Francisco Bay Area is one of the largest outside Asia and famously passionate about basketball. A locally resonant player would create an immediate emotional bond between fans and franchise. That cultural connection is something the club has valued since its foundation. Basketball as a bridge between peoples and stories. Moreover, Kai fits the Warriors' talent development philosophy. The organization seeks not only stars but athletes with a learner's mindset. Sotto is described as disciplined, receptive, and obsessed with improvement. Under the guidance of Curry, Butler, and Green, he would find an ideal environment to accelerate his competitive maturity. He would learn daily the fundamentals that underpin the team's success: off-ball movement, tactical reading, and defensive commitment. Team analysts understand he would not arrive as an immediate solution, but as a medium to long-term investment. Golden State prides itself on being more than a team. It is a formative institution. Players like Jordan Poole and Kuminga developed within the system and became examples of continuous learning. With Sotto, the idea would be similar. Integrate him gradually, explore his potential, and shape him within a system that demands intelligence and humility before glory. While these possibilities are discussed, the team keeps stacking wins. Collective performance remains solid, and confidence is evident. The offense has rhythm, the defense shows coordinated effort, and the crowd's energy once again electrifies the arena. Each game reinforces the sense that Golden State is not merely surviving, but reinventing itself. The brilliance of the past is not repeated out of nostalgia, but transformed into fuel for a new cycle. The stands of Chase Center pulse again. With every Curry three-pointer, every Green steal, every decisive Butler drive, the arena remembers that the Warrior spirit never vanished. It was merely waiting for the right moment to awaken. The past few weeks have brought a sequence of performances that have strengthened the team's confidence. The squad has once again begun to dictate the tempo of games with authority. What was once seen as fragility has now become tactical patience. Golden State no longer rushes, no longer forces plays, but waits for the right moment to strike. This maturity is most evident in Curry's decisions, as he seems to play with greater clarity than ever. Even under double marking, he finds improbable passes, sets the rhythm of the plays, and keeps the entire team involved. Draymond Green, in turn, has regained the role that made him indispensable, the silent playmaker. His reading of the game remains one of the most sophisticated in the league. He knows when to accelerate, when to slow down, and above all, when to protect his teammates. His connection with Butler has grown quickly. They share the same mindset, intensity with purpose. Butler has brought with him a work culture that has impacted the entire group. There is no ego, no stardom. The word that guides this team is unity. Behind the scenes, Steve Kerr has been the invisible maestro. His ability to adapt the system to new pieces is what keeps Golden State competitive. The coach understands that modern basketball is built on constant adjustments. That is why the team alternates between lighter lineups and more physically imposing ones, depending on the opponent. This tactical flexibility has been crucial in exploiting weaknesses and compensating for roster limitations. Efficiency metrics confirm their return to the elite. The offense is among the most productive in the league, and transition plays have once again become a deadly weapon. But what truly stands out is the calmness with which they win. There is no longer desperation in chasing improbable comebacks or relying solely on three-pointers. There is method, patience, and execution. Golden State has learned that maturity is the new form of speed. The young players are also beginning to find their place. Jonathan Kuminga has improved defensively, shows greater consistency in his decisions, and has become a vital source of energy off the bench. Moses Moody and Brandon Podziemski are following the same path, understanding that to play for the Warriors requires more than talent. It requires discipline and tactical awareness. This integration between generations is what makes the group so dangerous. The veterans' experience shapes the confidence of the young, and the result is a roster united by a shared purpose. Meanwhile, transfer rumors continue to swirl. Within the organization, there is a consensus that any addition must make both technical and financial sense. Golden State does not want to repeat past mistakes by bringing in big names that disrupt the salary structure. The focus is on finding players who fit the collective identity, and in this regard, Sotto continues to draw attention. Scout reports highlight not only his on-court qualities, but also his professional attitude. Despite his youth, he is known for training beyond what is required, studying opponents, and accepting feedback with humility. For a franchise that values mentality as much as talent, this matters. Inside the front office, some see him as a medium-term project capable of renewing the team's core. In San Francisco, the marketing department also sees potential. A Filipino player on the roster would mean access to new markets, new partnerships, and a more globally engaged fan base. But above all, it would be a move consistent with the club's philosophy, betting on athletes who inspire and represent something greater than the game itself. Basketball has always been, for the Warriors, a bridge between talent and culture. Curry, Green, and Butler understand this. In interviews, they avoid talking about the future, but their actions reveal a desire to leave a legacy that goes beyond trophies. They want to shape successors, pass on their knowledge, and ensure that the competitive spirit remains alive once they decide to retire. Perhaps that is why the current atmosphere feels so special. There is a sense of transition, of renewal guided by wisdom. The team plays with joy and purpose. There is no desperation to prove anything, only the pleasure of being part of something greater. This lightness is visible on the court and contagious among fans. The Chase Center, once quiet during unstable seasons, has come alive again. Every possession is met with enthusiasm. Supporters sense that something has changed. It is not just the rebirth of a team, but the reinterpretation of a philosophy. Golden State understands that basketball has evolved, but they still believe that the mind triumphs over muscle. And so far, that belief has proven true. Tactical dominance, collective understanding, and precision in decisive moments remain the hallmarks of a franchise that never settles for the past. Even if Embiid, Markkanen, or Sotto never arrive, the mere fact that the team is once again being mentioned in discussions of contention is a sign of strength. Respect has been regained. Rivals have begun to prepare specifically for them again. And when opponents once more fear the Warriors, it means something has been reawakened. The next challenge is maintaining consistency. Kerr knows that the Warriors' success has always relied on their ability to turn adversity into learning. It was that way during the Dynasty's rise, and it seems to be that way again. He often repeats to his staff that greatness is not a moment, it's a habit. The message has sunk in. The cameras may focus on Curry, but behind the scenes, there is an entire machine working quietly. Analysts review advanced stats, physiologists calculate workloads, and psychologists help keep minds clear. It is an ecosystem of excellence that sustains individual brilliance. This is Golden State's true strength, the sum of its parts. And if the future includes Sotto, it will confirm that the team has learned to look forward without forgetting what brought them here. A young, technical, ambitious center guided by veteran masters would be the perfect symbol of continuity. The past teaches, the present executes, and the future learns. In the end, what we see is an organization that still breathes competitiveness. Golden State may no longer have the explosive power of 2017, but it possesses something far rarer: identity. That is the foundation of any reconstruction. And perhaps when we look back, we will see that this version of the Warriors was not the epilogue, but the prologue of a new era. The flame burning in San Francisco is not merely a reminder of old glories. It is the fire of reinvention. And while the veterans lead with wisdom and the young learn with humility, the world looks once again at Golden State, not with nostalgia, but with respect. If you believe that the warrior spirit never dies, show it now. Leave a like, share this video, and subscribe to follow every chapter of this new story. Because one thing is certain: true champions never disappear. They only change the way they win. The backstage at Golden State is more alive than ever. What once seemed like a team at the end of its cycle has turned into a laboratory of reinvention. Every decision, every practice, every locker room conversation reveals an organization that has learned to survive its own expectations. And that may be the greatest triumph of the post-dominance era: the ability to remain relevant without relying on nostalgia. Stephen Curry is the ultimate symbol of this transition. At 37, he remains the emotional and technical engine of the team. But what is most impressive is no longer just his long-range shooting ability, but his capacity to adapt his game. Curry has become a maestro who understands the limits of his body and the possibilities of the collective. He doesn't force. He doesn't race against time. He leads the team with intelligence and calm. His leadership is silent, yet penetrating. In training, he is the first to arrive and the last to leave. For the young players, this routine speaks louder than any speech. Draymond Green follows the same path. After years of being the franchise's fiery temperament, he has matured. He has learned to balance emotion and rationality. He still shouts, still provokes, but now he chooses his moments with precision. He is the link between the glorious past and the disciplined present. The locker room respects him not only for his intensity, but for his loyalty. He knows every movement of the defensive system and demands the same commitment from everyone. That demand, which once irritated some, is now seen as part of the Warriors' culture. Jimmy Butler, on the other hand, brought the missing competitive spice. His arrival gave the team a new emotional identity. He isn't there to relive the past, but to write a new chapter. Butler is the kind of player who transforms an environment. He challenges, inspires, and protects. His fit with Curry and Green seems unlikely on paper, but it works because there is mutual respect. Everyone understands their role and puts results above individual stardom. This harmony among strong personalities is rare. However, it is precisely what strengthens the long-term project. Golden State has understood that success does not come only from technical execution, but also from emotional stability. The great dynasties of sport collapsed when they lost their internal balance. Kerr and his staff work to ensure that doesn't happen again. The planning goes beyond the court. The board has set goals for the next 3 years. The focus is to remain competitive while beginning a smooth transition to a new generation. Sotto emerges in this context as a symbol of the future. He represents what Golden State seeks: raw but moldable talent, someone who can learn within the system and grow around idols. Kai's presence would also help redefine the rotation. Kerr dreams of having a center capable of protecting the rim without compromising offensive fluidity. A player who knows how to position himself in screens, make the extra pass, and understand Curry's rhythm. Sotto has those traits. What he lacks is experience, and that is exactly what the Warriors' environment can provide. Beyond the technical aspect, there is also the symbolic factor. The arrival of a player from the Philippines to the Californian franchise would have global impact. The Filipino community is one of the most passionate about basketball and has a strong presence in the United States, especially on the West Coast. Seeing Kai wearing the blue and gold uniform would be more than a sporting milestone. It would be a cultural event. Basketball would once again become a bridge between cultures, something the NBA has always sought to expand. But while the future is being planned, the present demands focus. The schedule is demanding, and the Warriors know that every game counts. The margin for error is small in an increasingly competitive Western Conference. Teams like the Denver Nuggets, Minnesota Timberwolves, and Oklahoma City Thunder are challenging the veterans' dominance. Still, Golden State has something none of those teams can replicate: the soul of a champion. That mindset appears in the most unlikely situations. When the game tightens, the team doesn't panic. Decisions are made coolly. The group trusts the system. That trust is the greatest legacy Kerr has built over the years, and it's what keeps the team alive even when their legs no longer respond as before. Internally, the message is clear. It's not about proving anything to anyone. The goal is to keep evolving. External pressure no longer has the same weight. What matters is keeping the flame alive, inspiring, and competing with dignity. That's why the locker room seems more united than ever. Butler brought a philosophy that fit perfectly. Either everyone wins together, or no one wins. That phrase has become a mantra. Meanwhile, analysts continue to study possible adjustments. The name Joel Embiid still circulates, but with less and less strength. Concern about his injury history is real. Golden State does not want to compromise balance for a short-term move. The priority is the sustainability of the project. Kerr and general manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. are fully aligned. They prefer to build something solid rather than gamble on instant fixes. That stance contrasts with the frenzy of the market. In a league dominated by quick trades and massive contracts, Golden State chooses patience. That choice may seem conservative, but it aligns with their identity. The Warriors have always been different. Since the Splash Brothers era, they have proved it is possible to win with method, intelligence, and teamwork. Now they intend to show that it is also possible to age with greatness. The fans understand the moment. No one demands 73 wins or individual records anymore. What they seek now is continuity. Fans want to see the same spirit, the same commitment, the same passion for the game. And that is exactly what the team has delivered. Each victory is celebrated, not as confirmation of superiority, but as a reward for effort. Each defeat is analyzed without despair, with the perspective of those who know that learning is part of the process. The players feel that connection. Butler recently commented that Golden State plays with soul. That definition has spread among supporters. The team doesn't play just to win, it plays to inspire. The joy that once defined their youth has now become serenity. The spectacle continues, but with a new meaning. Curry is the perfect reflection of this transition. His shots remain impossible, but his smile now carries a different message. He knows he is building the closing chapter of a story, and he does it with dignity. Basketball remains art in his hands, but it has also become legacy, and perhaps that is the true rebirth of the Golden State Warriors. A team that has understood that power doesn't lie in reliving old glories, but in creating new forms of greatness. Meanwhile, the world watches. Every game is followed with curiosity. Can Golden State return to the top? Is it possible to win another title with a veteran core? No one knows. But what is clear is that the competitive spirit has not been lost. The future may bring changes, new pieces, new faces. Sotto may become part of this journey, or maybe not. But what matters is what is already happening now. A silent reconstruction guided by intelligence and respect for their own history. And as the sound of the Nets echoes through the Chase Center, one certainty lingers over San Francisco. True warriors never disappear. They merely change the way they fight. If you believe in this new era, if you trust that Golden State still has epic chapters left to write, leave a like, share, and subscribe now, because the story isn't over. It's only beginning again.